If you're a student that always crams, always waits until the end, the last 2 days, and then you spend about 12 hours, 13 hours every single day for the last 2 or 3 days up until the exam to study, then this mini lesson is for you. I'm not sure if you've ever had this experience before, that you always try to study, try to become consistent in your studies, but somehow you push it day after day, day after day, and it's not until 2 days up until the exam that you have finally mustered up enough urgency and enough motivation for you to actually study. And then you actually are able to even study for 10, 12 hours a day, and you even find that you're able to do that for a few days in a row because the exams are so close and fun. And then what happens is that after the exams, you're like, wow, look at how much I've studied and accomplished in 2 or 3 days. Imagine if I'm able to achieve this all throughout the semester. So today, in this mini lesson, we're going to talk about that. How do I become consistent in my studies? And first of all, thank you Maya235 for sending in this question. If you have any questions, do let me know as well, and I'll add it to our content agenda to cover these questions as well. How to be consistent in your studies. So first of all, the first really concept that you really need to understand is this concept of instant gratification versus the delayed gratification. This monkey right here is really the reason why we're delaying so much of our studies, why we're actually pushing everything towards the end, because we have our phone, for example, that we can just go on. We have that dopamine, instant gratification, that actually takes over. This monkey literally takes over a wheel of fate, right? For you to get good grades, for you to study consistently, so you don't really need to be suffering really at the end. In those 2 or 3 days, you're really panicking, right? And this is the reason why we're not able to control our instant gratification monkey. It just really takes over everything, and you want that instant gratification instead of, you know, that you need to be studying regularly to achieve good and stressless results as well. So this is number one, being very aware that this monkey is taking control. So secondly, really I want to talk about is our study efficiency curve. If you haven't heard of this before, this is what I'm talking about, and you really need to understand before you actually go and solve any problems and actually change any habits. You really need to understand that deeply it pains you. That's why you are going to spend more energy to go and fix this problem. But if you don't understand the problem, or you don't see that as a problem, first of all, you're not going to change this habit. So first of all, I'm going to tell you why you're actually wasting a lot of time when you come to cram actually in the end, and you actually might not even get good results as well. So first of all, talking about the study efficiency curve, some of you might have seen this already. So you've got your study time on one end and productivity on the other side as well. As you study more, your productivity, say for the first 30 minutes, you're just warming up, so you're getting in the zone and you're literally just sitting there and trying to get your brain to work. So for the first 30 minutes, your productivity steadily rises, and then it kind of peaks out at about maybe 1 hour to 1.5 hours. And then what really happens is when you cram, your productivity after 1 and 1.5 hours, it actually comes down really quickly as you burn out. I call this the burnout phase. And then you can be studying for 3 hours, 4 hours, and even for 10 hours. It doesn't matter. Your brain is so stuffed and not much information is going in. Your productivity is so low as compared to what you can achieve in this productivity zone right here, because you've reached this burnout phase where you just continue to extend this non-productivity phase, and then basically you spend a lot of hours. For example, you might have experienced you are sitting there for 8 to 10 hours, but then half the time you're distracted, half the time you want to be sleeping, half the time you want to be at home, because that place is a dread, it's hell really. You don't want to be staying at that place for 8 hours if you didn't have to. But the reason why people who study regularly can actually achieve so much more is because they're fitting in seamlessly so much more of these large productive blocks in every single day, rather than trying to cram everything. Although they might still be studying for the same hours. Let's say, you know, student A is actually studying for 20 hours, but it's actually 20 of these hours, these very productive hours, and then student B can be studying for 20 hours, but it's 20 hours of these very inefficient hours. Then of course, the student A will be achieving much better result, and also he or she is really stressing much less because they know that they've covered everything already with a systematic plan. So hopefully this really unlocks in your brain why I really hammer on stop cramming. It's because when you actually cram, your focus and your productivity actually decreases, and the amount of stuff that you can study in the same hours, you're actually using the same hours, is really much less as well. So don't do this one and go be a regular studier is what I'm trying to preach here. And then secondly, how do you actually try to incorporate this in your own study? We talked about the instant gratification monkey. Whenever maybe a crammer tries to sit down and study regularly, they try to see that studying is this ongoing process. I need to sit down for 2 or 3 hours and cover so many things. But in fact, we need to take care of that instant gratification monkey as well, right? We can't just leave that monkey hanging, because we know that that is a big controller of our life. So instead of like just studying and imagining this huge study block that you have to sit down and study, because you're not going to start, you're not even going to be in your productivity zone. What you really need to do is you need to be rewarding yourself rather than study. You want to be doing study, play, and then study. So this can be 1 hour on, 1 hour off, 1 hour on, 1 hour off, depending on how long you can focus for. So this can vary as well. But you really want to be incorporating play and relaxation in your daily routine. As I've said in previous mini lessons, it is a marathon, it is not a sprint. You need to have a sustainable study habit. You need to be doing this every single day. So that's why we need to incorporate play here as well. Maybe you like to go on Instagram, maybe you like to play some games, maybe you like to hang out with some friends. This is where you actually schedule your time in, where you know that your study time is left. It's only this one chunk, and then afterwards you're going to reward yourself with this positive thing, which is your version of your play, and you actually reward yourself to do this task. So actually then you feel much better, you feel less guilt, because you know that you have earned this play session, you've earned this relaxation session, and then you are actually more motivated to study because you have that good feeling. You know that you've earned it, and you now associate study with a positive thing because you continue to positively reinforce yourself. So hopefully in this mini lesson we have understood what is actually driving us to actually continue cram with this instant gratification monkey, and understanding the problem that you're really not studying efficiently if you are cramming because of this study efficiency curve. And then thirdly, incorporating study and play breaks, chunking your study time in your study habits so it makes it more sustainable and more like a marathon. So hopefully this mini lesson has been helpful for you, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one.